making another one. I've been busy with these this week, huh? Haven't I? Oh, a lot of shit's ended lately. So what are we covering tonight? Another half asleep fucking review. I promise I will try not to ramble too much. And that last one went on way too long. Holy shit. Um, Tonight I am covering the show Invincible on Amazon Prime. Uh, it was a 8 episode first season of a cartoon based on the comic book of the same name. Unlike the Marvel shows where the stories are changed significantly, this show, it definitely altered things for the show, but the crux of the story basically covers the first 3 volumes of the comic book Invincible, which I'm pretty sure each volume is probably 5 to 6 individual comic books, which means we're talking anywhere between 15 to 18 issues of the comic book, which is a lot. That's, and for a medium that comes out once a month, that's a year and a half worth of material right there, covered in 8 episodes of a TV show. They took some story elements from stuff beyond that, beyond the first 3 volumes, but the core of the main story is covered in those first 3 volumes. Like the aspect of the thing about Mark having to go on the Mars mission, or Robot cloning himself a new body. These things take place beyond the first 3 episodes or the first 3 volumes, but the crux of the story, the story is about a kid named Mark Grayson, who's the son of his father. Shit, I'm drawing a blank on what his parents' names are. But he seems like a normal kid. A normal teenager, except for the fact that his father is a Omni-Man, who's the greatest hero on Earth. Basically, he's like supposed to be his universe's version of Superman. Omni-Man is as the story goes when it starts, he's from a planet called Virchum. He's a Virchumite. And what they do is they're a species that has created perfection in their society. So they go to other worlds where they look to defend and help prop up less advanced worlds. They're a species basically where they're all Superman. They're all super strong, invincible, super speed. Basically, the basic Superman core of powers. Now, in this world, Earth has its own set of heroes. They even have a group called the Guardians of the Globe that is basically like their version of the Justice League. I mean, they really are like the Justice League. They have they have a warrior woman who's like Wonder Woman. They have a speed guy who's like Flash, and someone who's like Green Lantern, and the Martian Manhunter, and even a guy from Atlantis who's like a fish guy who can control water, like Aquaman. So basically like a weird version of Aquaman. A guy called the Immortal who has powers like Omni-Man, so powers like Superman. But the show, like I said, is about Mark, Omni-Man's son. It shows from when he develops his powers to him, figuring out a superhero name and getting a costume and learning to establish himself as his own hero, working with his father, meeting other young superhero friends. And there's also like things about, his personal life, dealing with being a superhero and maintaining a personal life, still doing things at school, maintaining friendships in and out of the superhero community. Some that become kind of both, or even more than that. It's basically a deep dive into the life of a young superhero, and then the revelation that his father murders the Guardians of the Globe, and they're figuring out exactly who his father, finding out exactly who his father is. He didn't lie about where he came from. He is a Virtumite. He lied about what Virtumites are. They don't come to less advanced worlds to prop them up. They come to less advanced worlds to enslave them. So they come to assess the defenses of these worlds, and if they have any kind of defense that could pose a threat, it's the Virtumite who's sent to that world to stop it. That's why he killed the Guardians of the Globe. His father then tries to convince, these two villains who called the Mahler twins, though they're not really twins. They're basically one person who's a genius geneticist who like mutated themselves into this giant blue guy. I don't even know if they mutated themselves. They don't really give a story to their origin, but it's one guy who clones himself to basically make a twin, and they both accuse the other of being a clone, and they can always bring a new one back if one dies and all that horse shit. They dig up the immortal and reattach his head and bring him back to life, and then he goes after Omni-Man, who kills him again by cutting him in two this time. He cut his head off the first time. And then when Mark sees his father kill the immortal, his father, realizes that they have to have a discussion. He tells him the whole story about how the Virtumites come to enslave worlds, and about how another aspect of their power is as they get older, they start aging slower. So most Virtumites will live to be like thousands of years old by Earth spans. So Mark's father basically explains to him, he's like, you're going to outlive everyone you know by like centuries. Millennia, actually. As I said, thousands of years. So he's like, you're going to live a very long time. So these people really don't mean anything. He even says his wife doesn't mean anything to him. Mark's father says that she doesn't mean anything to me. I think of her like a pet. Though you wonder, like, considering his reactions to things, you wonder if, like, maybe he's trying to prove more to himself than anybody else. But when Mark's father asks him, he's like, it's time to take your place as a Virtumite and join me. You're basically one of us because you have the same powers. Because on Virtum, if they only accept the strong. If you're weak, they're supposed to kill you. So only the strong can survive in their society. When Mark refuses, his father basically beats the living shit out of him. And then just as he's about to kill him, Mark says, like, why do you fight for them? You'll outlive them. He's like, in 1,000 years when they're all gone, what will you have? And it was like, what would you have? And he goes like, I'd have you. Mark says to his father, I'd have you, Dad, I'd have you. And his father like hesitates and then just flies away to leave his son after beating him half to death. And then you add in all that shit on top of his own personal life. Mark has a very stressful life. Then there's, like his friend, there's like a bunch of side characters, like his personal life friends, like his girlfriend Amber, who's very different from the comic book in the show, but she seems to she figures out who he is and doesn't like being lied to by him, and there's so much up and down in their relationship, and it's just dramatic teenager shit. It's like, this relationship, there's no way it lasts. I don't know if they'll pursue the same avenue as they did in the comic books. We'll see. It seemed like it was going that way at first, but God only knows. I will say the writing does seem a little bit more fleshed out. The writing does seem better in the show than in the comic book. Robert Kirkman, who wrote the comic book, he really writes these. He writes comic books that are very succinct with character description and introduction, but somehow drag out really long. It doesn't make any sense how he does that, but he manages to do that. But yeah, the main character is Mark. And then the first side characters are his mother and father, and then he's got his friend William, his girlfriend Amber, his other friend Eve, who's also his superhero friend Adam Eve, who it seems like might have a thing for him, but he's got the girlfriend, and she had a boyfriend who cheated on her. They were part of a group called the I think it's called the Team Teen, led by a robot named Robot, and she's Adam Eve, who can transmute things, and she has the power to transmute anything with like atomic energy. And then there's her boyfriend Rexplode, who's basically like a Gambit character. He could charge objects to explode. And there's Duplicate, who, like her name says, can multiply herself. She can create doubles of herself. Most of them end up joining the new Guardians of the Globe after they're killed. They're recruited, like a robot is recruited by a guy named Cecil Stedman, who's basically the Nick Fury of the show. To put a new team together, but it's like, the Guardians of the Globe were like the premier superheroes on Earth. It's like they're not easily replaceable. Oh yeah, I think also the storyline about Mark helping that villain Titan to deal with the superhero crime boss Machine Head, that also was from a volume later than volume 3. They move things around time-wise here so much. Like, they introduced so many things in the first season of the series, but they shift everything around time-wise. It's like it's trying to figure out, like, what happened, like, in which medium did things happen before his father beat him half to death and before his father didn't. That's that episode where his father beat the shit out of him. They really dragged that out. They really showed the brutality of that, man, because they skipped through it quick in the comic book. Oh, there's lots of people saying that it's like one of the best animated shows I've ever seen. It's like, someone pointed out, it's not even the best animation, and it's really not. Even by Western animation standards, it's not that good. It is just slightly, the animation is just slightly above, like, 90s animation. And if you're not familiar with 1990s animation, a lot of it sucked. Especially for, like, action cartoons and superhero cartoons, it was really bad. There were not a lot of people doing good animation in the 90s. There were some, but not a lot. And like I said, not a lot for superhero cartoons. They were terrible. And this show is only slightly better than those. There's way better animated television shows, in terms of animation at least. Like I said, as for the story, they expanded a lot of characters. They shifted around certain story elements enough to add into the show, but It's definitely good. I would say that the writing's the strongest part of the show. As for where they spent most of the money, it's not hard to tell that they spent most of the money on their voice acting cast because it is a who's who of pretty famous people. Like, the character Mark Grayson is voiced by Steve Yen, who is best known from The Walking Dead and was also nominated for an Oscar this year. So he's gotten pretty big. But the voice cast is a who's, like I said, a who's who of fairly famous fucking people. So it looks like they might have spent the majority of their money on this show on just recruiting a really high-profile voice acting cast. Like I said, if you're familiar with the comic books, it's the core of the story, barring a few B stories here and there. Um, is like the major B stories would be Mark going to Mars, which will play a major part down the line. Mark going to Mars, Mark helping Titan with the Machine Head, the super criminal gang lord, the super criminal like mob boss type guy. And what was the other thing? Ah, shit. The mob boss type thing. I don't even remember. I'm drawing a fucking blank. Holy shit. Yeah, it's the first 3 volumes of the comic book. The show hits all the good notes. Like I said, the voice cast is solid. It's good. The writing is a bit more fleshed out in certain areas. Not so much in others, but for the most part, I feel like it's expanded better. I feel like the story comes together, even the things they changed pretty well. It's a good cartoon. The animation could be fucking better. It's strange how they allocated their money, but it's a decent show, and it's already been picked up for 2 more seasons. I guess it's not hard to see how popular this thing has been. A lot of people are streaming it, and a lot of people are doing reviews of it and shit. It's pretty good. Oh shit. Oh man, I could barely keep my eyes open here. Holy fuck. I'm just rambling utter fucking nonsense. But yeah, it's surprising some of the actors they got to do some of these voices, but you know, it definitely all works. I can't. I'm still trying to remember what story element I'm forgetting when I was trying to talk just a minute ago. Oh, Jesus. But yeah. Invincible. Good coming of age story for a young superhero trying to figure out how to make his life work, and then it gets thrown completely into chaos by revelations from his father. Now he's trying to figure out how to take his father's place and keep his life moving forward and dealing with all the shit that comes with that. I don't know how they're supposed to get rid of fucking his girlfriend in the show. But I don't know, doesn't happen till much later. I don't know. It's been so many years since I've read Invincible. I don't remember exactly how the story goes. I remember major elements. I don't remember minor details. I don't remember so many things. That's why I had to go reading through the volumes I had to see like what part of the story did they cover? Because Mark's father, Omni Man, he kills the Guardians of the Globe real quick in the fucking TV show. In the cartoon, they don't really exist that long, so you just put the shirt up behind you, I guess. I don't know. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I'm just rambling here. I don't know what nonsense I'm saying. Um, yeah, so Invincible, based on a fairly decent comic book, not even one of Kirkman's best. And I wouldn't even call Kirkman's best my favorite comic books, but it's an okay comic book. Um, based on a fairly okay comic book. I would say that pros of this are that they expanded the story to definitely be better. The way the things they changed, the things they expanded on, the characters they gave more screen time to, it definitely made things better and more interesting, and changing it enough so that it doesn't feel completely familiar and therefore boring, but not changing it so much that it's not completely unfamiliar to. What the fuck am I talking about? Holy shit. Yeah. I like the changes they made to the story. I like how they told the story better in the show. Uh, the voice cast, though, it just seems like an unnecessary expenditure, is good. I mean, I don't know if they needed a bunch of famous people, but they all do a good job. They all perform their roles adequately. So, yeah, I would say that, yeah. But, I don't know. A con, the animation is fairly lackluster. Like I said, it's just barely above action cartoon 90s animation, which was never good. And, yeah. Oh, God. Oh, man. But yeah, the animation was lacking, but the story was decent. So, overall, I liked it. The animation was good enough, and like I said, the story was good. So, yeah, hopefully, I don't know when we're going to get the next two seasons, probably the next couple of years, but we'll see. Yeah. Invincible, decent show. I give it 2 thumbs up. I think it's worth it. So yeah. Alright, I need to go to sleep. I'm fucking exhausted. Have a good one.